What is going on, everybody? Happy Sunday evening here from a certain point of view, and welcome back to the main show here on POV. My name is Jake Berlin, aka your host for the evening, and I'm joined today by Mr. Brian Avellino and Miss Jill Mansolino. God, saying that back to back is so weird to me. I'm afraid I'm gonna mess them up. It's such a just a combo of the two names that throws me off. But luckily, I was able to get through it.
Yes.
Proud of you.
Well,
Proud of you.
I figured I'd unmute us while you were saying that. So
there's a lot of things going on in my head. It's sorry. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I've done it to myself a few times. Nobody noticed because the image was still up. But on the crossover last week, I had actually been talking for about 8 seconds before I realized that I was muted. But luckily, the image was still on the screen, so I had to restart everything while I was talking. So
didn't notice.
Now everybody knows. Yeah,
now they know.
Yes, Brian. New intro.
It's so rad.
Doing a few things here on the channel, and there's going to be more updates in the coming weeks as well. Not going to reveal anything, but just threw something together because we are officially a crew of 4 now, and we've had enough shows to be able to do that. And it's definitely a cool little piece that we have.
I love it.
He doesn't even reveal it to us.
I know. This is the first time we saw it. So cool. Love it.
Yeah. And to your question, maybe we don't know. We'll keep it a secret. Okay, so we have a cool show tonight. Obviously, we didn't do a reaction to the pay-per-view event that happened on Friday. There's rarity in our group where Fridays work out best for a reaction, especially later at night. We're able to get one in here and there at specific times, but being a pay-per-view event, being live, and being the fact that if we did do some type of reaction, we would have opened up a Patreon-only event to everybody. It just didn't make sense, obviously. And so we didn't do a breakdown. We didn't do anything like that because our show was on Sunday. It just makes sense to wait one extra day, come in here on Sunday, and have the full discussion here. So it's going to be full-on Final Exam, D13, Roka, Irwin today for the majority of it. And then towards the end, we will obviously preview the big pay-per-view that's happening this Friday, headlined by Smets and Chandru. So quite a lot of juicy things to talk about. And I know it's going to get pretty I'm not going to say the word heated, but it's going to get it's going to get pretty heated here. It's going to get pretty heated here in some cases, which is going to make it a lot of fun. And to answer, I'm sure, many of your questions, Molly is currently doing some things at home. And she'll probably be popping in here when she's available towards the end of the show or sometime in the middle. We'll get a word from her once that happens. But for now, let's get into this. So first live. And it's funny because I didn't realize that the match was actually live. I thought it was just going to be a pre-recorded Patreon-only premiere. And so when I realized it was live, my intensity level just raised.
It was a good surprise.
Yeah, I loved every minute of this pay-per-view. And this was the first digital team match that we had, and it, in my opinion, went flawlessly. I thought it was so good. I loved every second of it, and I'm really excited it went well because that means we'll see more of those. Because if it didn't go well, then some craziness might have happened, but it went well, so I'm stoked.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we've yet to have for this digital season in the Schmoedown is the team stuff. It was the one question mark, right, with all of these things that have been happening as far as just virtual matches. And like you had said, Jill, it was a flawless debut for the matches. And the one thing that we can take away from it was actually fixed in the middle of the match, which is the one thing that Winston brought up, which we'll talk about once we get there in the second round. And that was the one hiccup that we've seen from it so far, and it was squashed immediately, which is obviously a very good thing for them. But yeah, so, I mean, obviously Final Exam, D13, two really, really good teams. And, you have Paul Oyama and Lon Harris for Winston and Swag, who have really, look like they're a team to be reckoned with. Right? They seem like a match made in heaven in the oddest way possible. And then on the flip side, you have Whitney and Alonzo, who very much seem like they're the perfect match, right? They have very different types of strengths, Their weaknesses are also very different from each other. They seem to just very much enjoy playing with each other. And so for multiple different reasons, it was really a heavyweight fight. And like you had said, Jill, and I know we've talked about it privately too, but in my opinion, this was like the match to watch out of the two of them.
Yeah. This match was so good, so much fun to watch, and it was really interesting having it in the digital format because you got to listen to the teammates talk amongst each other about the questions, which I loved, and now I kind of wish we heard that all the time, to be honest, because it's really fascinating. Because for me, someone who literally has zero idea about the movies that are asked for singles and teams, like I don't know squat. So just seeing how their brains work trying to come up with an answer together, I loved. And I want to keep that happening. I want that to keep happening, and I want a manager Mike and Cam to be
Agreed.
a thing once studio matches are back. So hopefully it sticks around.
I agree. I definitely think that the two things that could be added, if we ever, I know we're probably at some point going to do a show of like what could be changed. And I know, Brian, you put a poll up in the Facebook group. The things I would want to see is a manager cam or just mic in general and player mics. And, you know, because if you add player mics, it could be to the point where the opponents aren't actually hearing them and only us as viewers are hearing them on the playback, which would be really cool. So, Brian, you know, just initial thoughts on this one before we kind of get into the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah, excuse me. It's funny that you guys brought up the manager and the team cam or whatever, because like I said, when we were talking to each other, like those two things need to be something they need to consider next year, either just like they're mic'd up or something, just because it makes, well, first off, it made me actually realize that the managers were doing something and they were not just there to be a namesake. I mean, yeah, we always knew that some managers probably took it a little bit more serious than others, actually like coaching and stuff. Like Roxy, we always knew she was legitimately like helping the odd couple and stuff like that. But then, I mean, you have others where you're just like, are they really actually doing it, or are they just the face of the team? Now we're seeing, yeah, no, they're actually doing stuff. They're actually giving them advice. They're actually telling them important things. And I mean, it's also kind of cool with the teams because you always sit there and wonder what they're whispering about when they're next to each other. Like, who knows the answer? Which maybe one of them doesn't know, another one does. And that immediately solved that answer right there. The only thing that could maybe, I could see maybe not wanting to do that with the teams is just that reason of being, you're kind of telling your secret, maybe your whisper of like, hey, I know this answer, meaning like, okay, that person might know that.
Well, the only pushback I'll say on that, and I'm guessing you're talking about round 2, is the other team is shifted from the actual stream.
No, I meant during the season. I don't know how they would do that.
Oh,
well, I mean, they do it in the studio anyway. The players are just whispering to each other.
No, on digital, absolutely. There's no. I mean, why not? I mean, I loved that. That to me, honestly, those two things, listening to the manager and the teams, has probably been some of my favorite new things this year. So, I would,
which is also a bummer for Christian because now he's going to figure out a way how to do that.
Yeah,
if they do it, I mean, it's not something that really needs to be added, but it's something that a majority of people have enjoyed getting to see, that kind of like behind the scenes.
And I'll even say that it doesn't even have to go as far as miking up the players for those conversations. If you mic up just the manager, you can hear them talking when he goes or when he or she goes to talk to the players. And that's a very simple thing that you can do.
It's like the referees when they show the
exactly
little clips during football season.
or the coach during football and baseball, and you could hear them like talking to the bullpen or like.
And I'm sure they do that in wrestling as well, right? Like I don't watch.
Well,
wrestling
there's not really like a manager in wrestling.
Are the refs mic'd up at all?
No. The refs aren't mic'd. Just the.
I guess they talk loud enough. So
yeah, just people at the desk that are mic'd.
But yeah, no. This match was incredible. This could have been a championship match, like the way that it was playing out with these two teams. And like I said a little while ago in an earlier stream, teams is so incredibly stacked. Like the teams that have come out this year are incredible. No longer are you like, yeah, there's the Shire Wolves, yeah, there's the Odd Couple, yeah, there's Corruption and Founding Fathers. Like that, like those types of teams. Anyone's a threat right now in teams, just because they're so Tom and Paul, Deep 13, the Pride. That there's just so many in it.
Some we haven't even seen yet.
Exactly. So,
which is just weird because we're
August? We haven't even seen Shazam.
We haven't
seen August.
Shazam. We haven't seen Shazam yet.
So teams is incredible this year, and I'm really glad that worked out, and whoever and the amount of people that figured out how to do that, it went flawlessly. I didn't see a problem with that at all.
Either.
Yeah, and I definitely know that from the side of running the StreamYard myself, that it's a very complicated process to move people in and out. And, for the first time doing it, they did it really, really well. Like I didn't feel the intensity drop at all between the players. It was really cool, like we have said multiple times, to see those conversations, not just between the manager and players, but for the first time seeing the player-player interaction. And you really get a sense of how these players work together. And, round one went really well for both of them. It was a close game. I think it was a 1-point advantage for Final Exam. We go into round two, and then we're kind of wondering, okay, how is this really going to work here? Because this is really where they need to test themselves. Not just for the team format, but just in general as the teams for the trivia. And they both got what they wanted. Deep 13 lands on Festival Darlings, and you get to hear the interaction between them very slightly because it was a very quick decision, and it's an obvious decision for them. You have Alonzo, who's been working in the film festival circuit for years. It just makes sense. And then on the flip side of it, you get Final Exam, who's Spinner's Choice, and you get to see them discuss the two slices they put on the wheel and which ones they want to go with, ultimately picking a slice that I never expected anybody to pick, and that was Adam Sandler.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting, but I loved that though.
Yeah, and it was a really cool addition and it's a confidence thing because you're like, okay, someone in this trivia has to be confident in something like Adam Sandler, just like a Silvestrini is confident in a Kevin Smith. Right? Or John Roca is confident in a Western or whatever it may be. We've never really heard of an Adam Sandler thing happen.
Not for a Spinner's Choice.
Exactly.
Choice with Adam Sandler.
And they crushed it. And and again, we go back to it, but the conversation between Paul and Lon during that round was great. And I also add that, I think I said this in our chat, I cannot express enough how much I love the addition of final answer. Final. Not just in the digital format, but in general. I think it's the perfect addition that's been missed because, like we saw in the singles match, which we'll get to, if one of the players had said his answer and then final answer, the judges don't have that issue of possibly hinting at something to give them the chance of the answer. And allowing or having the player say, hey, final answer, it's the perfect kind of just like cherry on top to the players answering the questions, and it worked brilliantly.
If we're going to continue with adding the whole game show mantra, we already got Fast Money from Family Feud in here, and might as well throw what is that, millionaire? Who wants to be a millionaire?
Who wants to be a millionaire?
Final answer. Let's just add more in. It's okay. Yeah. It's all good. Let's add some Whose Line Is It Anyway too. Let's add some more.
D-Train, we answered this at the beginning of the stream. She's gonna pop in later, but later ended up being right now.
Yay!
Hello.
I made it.
Hey, welcome.
Hello.
We missed you. It was so lonely here. We were like, we are missing our fourth.
Yeah, so we're in the midst of final exam in Deep 13, and we're talking about round 2 with their slices, and then the addition of final answer and all that type of stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I left it open.
Cool.
Thoughts, everybody?
Yeah.
I loved watching this match. I loved watching a teams match, period, digitally. Yep. Like it was very different and new and fun, and I loved it.
Did you find any flaw in it at all? Really? Other than that 1 second of Winston?
Oh, when he was talking about who's in the chat.
Yeah, have him be in the chat. But
yeah. I mean, that's just, the kind of thing they're going to have to deal with going forward now with the team's stuff. Just kinks to be worked out with, but yeah, I like it.
I was honestly stunned that they did the first team match in a live format.
Yeah.
Who made that ballsy decision to be like, this is our first time doing it, let's do it live?
Yeah.
Not to mention, not to mention the amount of people you have to wrangle up. You have
corral,
two managers, 2 announcers, 4 players. That's 8 right there. I'm sure you have possibly a writer somewhere in the back.
A writer, and then I imagine Goddard is probably running the stream as far as images and overlays and stuff.
So that's you have probably about 10 people working on that thing. And I mean, to do it live right off the bat was a risk, but it paid off because now people are going to want to see it. So.
Yep.
I'm also corrected here. Apparently, the Pride took Adam Sandler in their match.
Is it a spinner's choice?
I completely forgot. Was it a second spin, maybe?
Or a first?
I don't know. Brian, leave us something in the comment.
Yeah, was it a spinner's choice pick? Because if it was the Pride, they would have had Kevin Smith on the slices, and they would have picked.
I think that was spinner's choice.
Adam Sandler was a spinner's choice that they picked?
I think so.
For the Pride?
Oh, for the Pride.
For the Pride. For Friday's match, it was a spinner's choice, but for the Pride.
Oh.
Interesting. Sure. I'm very interested in that, if that is actually the case. Okay, so we go into round 3 here, and it looks like it's just being it's a great back and forth. It's exactly what we expected here for this match. And we see the managers come in, and then we see this. And I know someone put it in the comments, but it literally looks like the Brady Bunch on screen with all 6 of them, 4 players, two announcers. It's great. It's such a cool addition to Showdown. But so they pick all their numbers, get their categories, and the one slip up that cost Deep 13 their match was the 2-point question, the Grand Budapest Hotel question for Whitney. It's just one of those things that slips your mind. It's such a bummer because I guarantee you Alonso was sitting there just shaking, knowing the answer because
I knew it.
So, because it's very much a festival film. Yeah. And everybody else went perfect after that. Final exam gets their points. Deep 13 answers are 3 and 5. It ends up being a 33-32 game. I mean, it's such a bummer because we've talked about it plenty of times, but Whitney has been so close so many times. And it just ended up, lying in his hands, and it's just that one movie that he ended up missing.
He lost in a 30-plus point match.
Yeah.
And that's kind of Whitney's MO right now, and it's so unfortunate because he's clearly so good. And it's just it's one of those luck of the draw kind of things. Or in this case, he misheard a name, and it's what cost them the match. And yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, didn't he say he misheard something?
He misheard either what the name was or what the category was.
It was the name, the actor.
So. Yeah, I think because the question was the ensemble film starring Ralph Fiennes, and he must have heard Ray Liotta, I think is what he heard in his head. Mm-hmm. And that just threw him off. Because when was the last time we saw Ray Liotta in a movie?
Man. Should use that repeat.
Yeah. I was surprised he didn't use a repeat.
Me too.
We saw that a couple times throughout the night, and we'll get to those as well. A little later on too.
I mean, when you're in a situation like that, like I understand your.
So
okay, well then there you go. I understand in a match like this, you're cautious of your JTEs, But if you're literally unsure of the name being said,
that's so sad.
Yeah, if you're unsure of the name in the question, you need to use it no matter what it is, because that's literally the most important part of the question. Without it, you can't answer it. I mean, you could answer something has nothing to do with it because you heard a different name. So, I mean, like, I understand, like, maybe he was trying to save it just in case they would need it. But if you're unsure, even the slightest, that you heard a different name, that's a mistake. I hate to say it, on you, because you kind of need to know, like, you need to be sure the question is what you heard if you're going to try to answer it. So, I mean, I don't know, that one kind of bugged me a little bit, just because it was like, it's kind of like a dumb mistake almost. And for a match like that, you just don't want to, like, that to be the determining factor.
Yeah.
To answer this, for as far as repeating something goes, I don't know that that's ever, like, I mean, I probably should have used my repeat when I couldn't think of the name Kira. That was just dumb on my part. But in my first match at Star Wars Celebration Live, I forgot to use my multiple choice on one of my round 2 questions, and that was like the big, like, oh my god, what happened for me.
Brian, you just said something. Okay.
Well, no, I like what Leo
next time. No, you're good. Next time, yes, I'm gonna get to that question, Brian. But yeah, this is what we can get to here. And this like changed the whole game for me. Was this moment between Paul and Ron.
Gonna say, can we talk about him just going, it's knocked up? Like,
because I was sitting there thinking to myself, I was in the car, I was playing it over the radio, and I was thinking to myself, oh yeah, this is the 40. And then I heard them talking. I go, wait a second, is that between Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen, or Paul Rudd and someone else? And I couldn't remember that Seth Rogen was there. I don't know why. I just could not remember that Seth Rogen was there. And then when they decided to go with Knocked Up, I was like, oh my god, they just lost the game.
To go with Knocked Up, or did Paul just say it's Knocked Up?
That's true. Paul did. But in my head, I go, oh my god, they just lost the game. Like, I was so set on it being This Is 40. And again, going back to what we discussed earlier about the whole discussion between the two of them, bravo. Absolutely, bravo.
Yeah, kudos to them for talking it out, and then kudos to Paul for having the cojones to just go, it's Knocked Up. And then being right. Because if Paul, I love Paul dearly, but sweetheart Paul, if you were not right.
Oh, man.
The hammer would have been brought down, sir. So
that would have been so brutal.
So happy that you were confident in your gut and you went with it and you stuck with it, because it worked out in your favor. But if it didn't, it would have been really sad, and that would have been a hot topic in the Schmoedown community, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was sitting on the couch watching it with Alex, and we were kind of going back and forth to, like, wait, is it Knocked Up, or is it this or this? And like, he kept saying, no, it's Knocked Up, and I was like, I don't even remember that scene from that movie, and I love that movie. It just like fell out of my head, that particular scene. So I was like, yeah, okay.
And Brian, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it's funny because when they said This Is 40, I went, oh yeah, you're right. And then when he said, or is it Knocked Up, I was thinking to myself, is there a scene? And then all of a sudden I remembered the scene where they're just sitting there like, and they're like watching it, and kind of like how you, Jake, were like, oh my god, please pick Knocked Up, not This Is 40. So when they said Knocked Up, I was like, oh, thank God. But
another reason why I want a manager cam, because Winston had said that they're going, it's Knocked Up, please don't say This Is 40.
Yeah. So.
And another reason why I thought it was This Is 40, and I haven't seen Knocked Up in a long time, and I need to go back because the movie's brilliant, but I don't remember Paul Rudd being in it that much, which is why I was thinking to myself, okay, if it's a scene with Paul Rudd, it has to be This Is 40, because the movie focuses on him. So I totally just like backtracked myself. That must have been like one of the 3 scenes he was in the movie with Seth Rogen, and it just totally slipped my mind.
Yeah, and I was thinking about Seth Rogen, whether or not he was in This Is 40. Is he?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I was like, I'm so confused with all the Judd Apatow movies now.
Yeah,
kudos to the question writers, because clearly
that was great.
Everyone was thinking the two same things. So
yeah,
and it's funny because it really is like, if you know the movies, it really is a simple question. But because the movies are so closely tied together, it's a brilliant question.
Yep.
And they do so many of the same things. They do. There's, I mean, not saying these movies are all the same, but there's little things that they do that most movies do. Like they get, with those movies, they usually get high and go on some type of adventure or something like that.
They're smoking something and they end up doing something wacky.
So I mean, it's very easy to mix that up, and I mean, it's crazy to watch because they were so confident in This Is 40.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there was just this little like twist of, well, wait a minute.
Wait.
And then it completely was.
And they're seeing them using their repeats and then like going through it. And it was really fascinating to see that.
Yeah.
And using the final answer thing too. Again, you can talk back and forth all you want, but until you say final answer, that's when it officially becomes official. And I think that definitely needs to be, if there ever is that quote unquote rule book that's happening, that definitely needs to be in that rule book for sure.
Where? Rule book.
All right. Well, any final thoughts on this one?
Brilliant.
Did you guys already talk about like just the idea of us being able to hear the teams talk?
Yes, we talked about at the beginning. Okay. So before we talked about it before you jumped on. So what are your thoughts on that, Molly?
I love it. I'm gonna be sad if we ever go back to not being able to hear them talk about it. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. We said.
I'd like to know what they think about it being on camera and everything.
Agreed.
But yeah, I was just like, ooh, this is so interesting. Like listening to them talk it out. I mean, most of the time, one or the other knew it for sure. So it wasn't like any arguments happening, but we might get that.
Might.
And we skipped it over, but the Winston move, right? With stepping in, we didn't talk about that.
You guys too, because I watched it after you guys did, and I was talking to Sean, and I was like, they said, oh, they went first, so it doesn't matter. I'm like, what do you mean it doesn't matter? They can still steal these answers if they don't get it right. Why are they in the waiting room?
Yeah.
And then Winston came and he was like, up, and I was like,
yeah,
thank you, because you can't have the other players in the waiting room in round 2. It makes no sense.
And he did it in such a way that didn't come off, like, oh no, like this is like wrong. Like,
no, not at all.
He said it. He said it in the right tone, in the right way. And Christian and Mark thought to themselves, they go, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that totally makes sense. And it was just a total. I mean, we talked about it before you jumped on, Molly, but we said how the teams match, it was like a flawless debut for the virtual side of it, except for this one thing. And the one thing that they had a misstep with, it was fixed immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a smart move. I'm very okay. I was waiting on this. My Baby Yoda comes in 3 days, so
Molly's got like 3. So
I know.
Oh my God, I didn't even see the one right there on the bottom.
I know, she has so many.
I covered up the creepy face with the other Baby Yoda.
My Baby Ahsoka account. I've got a little Ahsoka.
You have a Yoda. It's right by you.
I know, but that's my second one. I've got one here.
Oh, okay.
But then Molly has 2, but I got a little Ahsoka up here. Is that okay? Does that
My pop figures are in the corner that way. I need to start bringing them behind me.
Do you have a Baby Yoda though?
Maybe.
Oh. My one that's sipping the tea comes on. But one last thing before we go to the singles was, I'm so glad Ken actually was a managed. Like, and it clearly he did a great job, and I was very happy to see it. I'm glad they didn't stick to the like, yeah, okay, whatever, do whatever you want. Like, I don't want to be here thing. Like, it was really cool to see him helping them out. And I mean, with a team like the Deep 13, they probably don't need that much help because they're a pretty strong team in themselves. But it was nice knowing that he was there supporting him, and he's not just the manager that got thrown into it because they needed someone. Mm-hmm. So I really like that. Also, was it me or was Ken's glasses kind of like this?
I think he was doing it on purpose.
Okay. I wasn't quite sure because it was, as someone that wears glasses, I was like sitting there just like going, pull them down.
I think he was doing it on purpose. Yeah.
So
it seems like a Ken move. That seems like a Ken move through and through.
Yeah.
But very happy that it was an actual. Like, it's not just going to be the story of like, well, we needed a manager. There you go.
Here's the knapsack.
Yeah.
One last thing before we move on to the main event here, and Tachyon has a question or a comment. I like hearing the teams talk, but it also revealed their strengths. Ben Goddard on his Twitch stream was talking about he didn't know that Pixar and Adam Sandler were strengths of Final Exam. And then he added the Pride now has an advantage over Final Exam going in. Yes and no, because what other strengths do they have that the Pride don't know about? They had talked about how Paul had said, well, I think we should go between the two slices we put on the wheel. They could put two completely different slices on the wheel next match.
Yeah.
But it also, yes, it does also reveal that they are good in Adam Sandler and Pixar, which we already knew about Pixar because Paul has done Pixar stuff before.
Paul's a beast at Pixar.
Yeah, so that we knew that before. And the Adam Sandler one, if they went with it, they showed how good they were in it. So.
Yeah, I'm always kind of like annoyed at people being like, oh, don't talk about your strengths in this or your weaknesses in this. It's like, I mean,
scared.
Eventually people are going to find out. I mean, if you're in it long enough, people are going to know which ones you like to pick. Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's to me, it's maybe the first or second time you play, like it's okay. Yeah, it might be a little bit special, but when you're in their third, fourth, I mean, we knew Pixar was a strength. We knew. Mm-hmm. Okay, we didn't expect Adam Sandler. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're gonna eventually find out, especially in these smaller tournaments, like Star Wars. It's like, stop revealing all your stuff. There's only 12.
I don't think anyone in the Star Wars division also even has a weakness. It's just whether or not you know the Star Wars question. It's
I was gonna say. For most players, I imagine, outside of the few who are very stingy on revealing, secrets, people probably find out what your strengths are just socially anyway. Yeah. Like I imagine, just in conversation outside of the game, that probably comes up at one point or another. So
not to mention, if you're putting the slices on the wheel, you're saying I'm confident in those two.
I mean, Erwin said a while back that like animated stuff wasn't his strength exactly. But then he was on, what was it?
Backstage.
I think he was on Backstage and he was like, I've been watching everything on Disney Plus and like studying animated stuff. So I don't know. I feel like even if someone finds out that something is your weakness and then let's say they get opponent's choice and give you that weakness, then okay, you'll learn. So next time that might be a strength of yours. So
it's an endless conversation that
it'll never stop.
Okay. Yeah, it'll never stop.
Basically, you have to just be strong in everything a little bit.
That ever existed from front to back, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well, quickly before we move on to the main event of Friday, or the second event of Friday is what we should say. I do want to do a little plug for us because we were doing something this week as there is nothing really happening in the Schmoedown other than the Friday match, meaning no matches. And then the week after is when hell breaks loose and we get 4 matches a week for everything else.
That's right. That's
it's our time to breathe right now. This is the breathing we need.
But this Tuesday, you can join us here on the channel at 6:00, and we're going to be doing a Q&A with the crew. You can ask us anything you want as far as and of course respectable stuff. Schmoedown related, life related. You can ask us any questions you want, and the way that can happen, you can do it in the comments. You can also do it via Streamlabs. We officially have a Streamlabs as well, and I'll go ahead and throw this up just for in case you want to know. So that'll be there on Tuesday at 6:00. We'll be hanging out for an hour, just kind of talking anything, whether it's Schmoedown, Star Wars, school, TV, whatever it is. We'll be looking for you guys' questions on Tuesday. So thoughts on that one, guys?
If you want the juicy stuff, it's got to be a Streamlabs.
Ooh, I like that. I like
saying.
that. Good plug. Good
If you want
plug.
the real tea, you best be.
It's funny that Molly. It's funny that you said that because I was going to throw a jab the other way, but
No, don't throw a jab the other way. Don't do that.
I just realized in that picture you can see Buzz Lightyear on my watch.
Yeah.
Your watch is on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch.
I'm revealing.
Oh, here, let me throw it back up. Yeah, your watch is on.
You're revealing your strength.
My sister has that same thing on her iWatch. She has Buzz Lightyear too.
Well, now you guys know one of my movie strengths. Damn it.
Cute. That's why you were giving me Toy Story questions the other day.
Yeah.
I see you.
I already said flat out I want mano a mano. Well, with them, but I already told Nerdtronic I want to go against Jake in a Toy Story match on Videochronic, their little
and Drew's little thing.
Yeah. So
I would watch that.
I would watch it so hard.
Apparently this guy's a big fan, but we'll see.
Prove it.
I don't reveal secrets. Okay.
You can still be a fan and not know trivia.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. All right, let's go ahead and get to the big one here. We have John Rocha versus Ethan Irwin, a match in the making for quite a while here. Number one contender match, leading into the title fight for Dan Murrell. Obviously, if you're watching now, spoilers. We're going to be talking spoilers if you've not watched the match. Come back to us after you're able to get a chance to it. You can watch these pay-per-view matches if you're a $10 patron. I cannot recommend it enough. Head to Schmoedown Patreon and get your $10 tier because it is worth the price. I promise you. You don't only just get Friday's match, you get the massive Smets Challenger match on Friday with Final Exam and the Pride, which we'll be talking about here very shortly. And so head to Patreon, do that. But for this match, John Rocha, Ethan Irwin, after all the hoopla, Ethan Irwin walks away with the victory. He ends up beating John Rocha, and yes, we wanted that. We had cheered for that, and it gets the usual suspects points, which were 4 on this channel.
Points.
But boy, do we have some stuff to talk about. They both go 7. Jill. I'll quickly get to all the craziness. So they both go 7 for 7 in the first round. Only 8 questions asked, so they both miss 1. No perfect rounds. We get to the second round. Ethan goes first, and he spins spinner's choice. He ends up going with one of his slices he put on there, which is Catherine Bigelow. Which again, I love that someone is picking something very odd in these slices, right?
When he said that, I went, "What?"
But it makes sense because he's a studio exec.
Exactly.
Right? He probably knows her personally, and from personal experience, Catherine Bigelow rocks. Like she rocks. So I'm all for it. But the drama began with the very first question. It had to do with her film Detroit, depicting the riots in Detroit in the 60s. The question that was asked is, what decade did it take place in? Ethan Irwin answered 60s. We all know what he's talking about here. We all know because even Wheel Slices in the Schmoedown say 90s and 80s. We get it. John Rocha takes it upon himself to challenge it because he didn't say 1960s. It could have.
At first, he was joking about it.
And I was going to say he was definitely joking and playing around. But the second Christian or Mark, I don't know which one it was. The second one of them said, "Are you challenging it?" His switch flipped.
Yep.
And then he instantly went into John Rocha mode and challenged it. Finstock came on screen, and it began. Thoughts.
Who wants to go first?
Okay, I'll go first. I'll do it. I will admit I slept on this one because when I first heard that was challenged, I went, "Are you kidding me?" We all know what he's talking about. Do we need to list the slices? Is it 1990s, 1980s, 1970s? Like, is that what we need to do now? And so at first I was like, this is ridiculous. This is a waste of time. I slept on it. I will admit I slept on it. When it comes to movies, movies have been made about the 1860s and the 1870s. So I can get using the challenge card to play for that, like, clarification. So I get it. I thought the ruling was fair. I thought throwing the question out was fine. Surprising of me to say that, I know, but I slept on it, and I still think I wouldn't have challenged it personally because we all know what he meant. But, like, in terms of gameplay, I get it.
Molly and Brian are so disappointed in you. Right
I know. I'm sorry. I know. And like I slept. And like I said, I slept on it. And like, I think what bothered me the most with it was that at first it was joking, and then it flipped like that, and then it became so overly serious. That too. Okay. I'm just gonna stop talking before I dig myself in a deeper hole.
By the way, it's Detroit, Sean. Detroit.
Yeah, Detroit, Sean. History.
Brian?
Sorry, Brian. I know.
This was so stupid. Like,
and the funny thing is, I'll quickly add, because I don't want to. I hate talking about this BS, but it didn't even matter at the end of the day.
No.
Carry on.
Oh wait, hold on. Wait, I'm being bombarded. Please hold.
1863. There were major riots in New York.
Oh,
it was.
I thought you were going back to the Detroit stuff.
He had to come in for that one.
Yeah,
he had to
come
rush
in.
it here.
Is that when James
He had to
actually.
He had
Fair
to
enough.
actually.
Fair enough.
Is that when
Gotta
gangs
do
in
it.
New York was 1860s?
And then he had to actually.
Nice.
Also plug for Star Wars Explained.
Hey.
This was stupid. Absolutely a waste of time. Stupid. This was almost as dumb, and you know what I'm going to say. This is almost as dumb as Brandon Hanna's challenge, because if you're going to complain about Green Hornet, don't do it during the middle of the match. But it's come on, like it's common sense. The damn wheel has 90s, 2000 or that what is it? 90s, 80s on.
It is, yeah.
If it's fine on the wheel, the answer's gonna be fine. Like, I mean, I get it. The big hoopla was that Mark kind of said 1960s, and that was the thing. So if Mark wouldn't have said, "Can you give us clarification?" Find me one person that thinks Erwin would have said anything other than 19 before the 60s, and I'll call you an idiot, because there's no way.
I will rewind myself a little bit, and this is thanks to Alan here. There were riots in 1860 in Detroit. 1863. I just Googled it. It's the Detroit race riot of 1863 is what it's called.
When were there not any riots? Come
Exactly.
And, well,
I feel
yes.
like you're
And
everywhere.
I will say, I will also add this. I can guarantee you John Roca did not know that. He was just challenging it to challenge it because he didn't actually put the word 19 in front of 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But like Jill, I can understand the challenge because like we saw in IG and Star Wars, everything has to be exact for answers. And if they're going to hold that accountable for those, they need to also hold it accountable for these as well.
Here's the thing, though. The movie didn't take place in the 1860s. It took place in the 1960s.
But
No,
don't
I get that, but he said 60s.
Yeah.
He didn't say 1960s. And they're asking for clarification was what's happening.
If you think he didn't know the answer, right? If,
Oh, I
I
100%.
get that, but
not
as
saying
judges, you have to
I get it.
you have to suspend that a little bit and understand, like, it's the final answer thing again, right? Like, you, as a player, you need to start understanding that they're looking for specificity. Oh my god, I can't believe I just said that.
Specificity.
In these answers, and if it's a year, you need to say 1960s.
Okay, but here's the thing. At the end, like Ellis is the one that dropped the 19 before. So
I agree.
Even if we could have, gotten Erwin to say the answer, we couldn't because of Ellis's little mistake. Which it's whatever. It's a slip of the tongue.
That's a great little thumbnail there.
I know. That's very
good. But it's it's funny because it felt like you were watching.
Okay. Point proven.
Okay.
Point taken. Point taken.
Either way,
interesting.
What's funny is it seemed like the boulder rolling down the hill. Like it started out slow as a joke, and then it started to pick up, got faster, full blown. Rules been made. The boulders hit you in the face, but at the end of the day, it's like this one right here. The next question, he nailed it and went into detail with it. So, whatever. And
he still got the next question right, so it's not like it even affected.
He got all of them right.
I got a perfect second round. Yeah.
So
not even phased. That's what I love about Erwin is that he is the most chill player. He's like, okay, that's fine. You can throw it out. I'm just gonna know the next one anyway.
But he has this quiet, snarky cockiness to him as well.
And
right?
I love it.
He has these one-line digs that are very subtle, but if you think about him, you're like, oh wow, that actually hurt my feelings.
You're
yeah, and he was doing it to Roka the entire time, and I was enjoying the hell out of it. It was great.
I love how he's just sitting there on the couch like this.
Yeah, and everybody was talking about that. How he was just on his recliner, hanging out, playing movie trivia.
It'd be perfect. Just literally find the comfiest place in my house, and then just. I don't know. That's a good question. That's
probably Alex.
The most chill match ever.
Erwin at least attempts to do a mean promo. Alex, I don't think has a mean bone in his body.
Molly, you haven't spoken up much about the challenge here. Thoughts?
Well, my first thought was, are we watching a Star Wars match right now? I was like, this is like Star Wars IG territory level of challenge, which is fine. And that's the thing about challenges like this is anyone can make a challenge like this, and it just so happens that this time it held up. And as bizarre as it was, I was like, I can't really fault Roka that much for doing it, because like you said, it started with a joke, but then maybe it got in his head.
The boat.
Watch Jake while Molly was talking, and you could see when Jake saw that.
I love it.
Jake was like this. I was excited.
I wish I had his soundbite. Oh, you're my dreamboat of the thing from the rundown that he has. It's amazing. But yeah, Molly, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it's fine. But like you guys said, it started as kind of a joke, and then I think the more momentum it got, he was like, no, yeah, I'm putting this through as a challenge, because we've seen so far, with these digital matches, that challenges can be really make or break for matches. And I don't know, I was surprised by it, definitely. And like you guys said, it didn't matter in the end. He got a different question, nailed it, and the bittersweet ending in that is Roka spinning 90s.
Yes.
Everyone throwing out all the jokes is like, what? But which 90s?
So true. But before, ultimately after round 2, they were tied. But the one thing that we can't talk about that happened also in Erwin's round was the hoopla that came in after the match with one of the questions that followed this. And this is definitely where I'm going to shoot to Jill first, because I know that she got some thoughts about this one. And this was the Hurt Locker question with Jeremy Renner's with his, oh my God, why am I blanking on what they're called? His
Rank?
His rank. There you go. His rank. And Erwin answered Sergeant, which in the movie is correct, but I know that something happened as far as it being in a description, as far as specificity again. And Jill, I'll shoot it to you first on this one for the Hurt Locker one.
I have some thoughts.
We all need teacups.
So
yes, yeah.
We need just those little ones that Baby Yoda had. The little
mm-hmm. So, do I understand where they are coming from? Where technically he has what is it? Like first something sergeant, like is actually like his title. It is never said in the film. Ever. It is never said in the film. It is never mentioned in the film. Which, when it comes to singles and teams, that takes it off the board. If it is not mentioned in the film, or if it is not mentioned in the credits, it's off the table. This isn't Star Wars or it's RIG, where you can pull from different source materials. Like for Star Wars, you can pull from kind of some legendy questions, or you have to name the ship that they never actually name in the film. Singles and teams, there are so many movies that they pull from. You can't do that. You cannot be that specific. It is never mentioned in the film. So Erwin was right. So stop coming after the question writers.
And I will also add one thing. While you were talking, I did Google it just to see what came up. If you Google it, it's Sergeant First Class.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go to IMDb, he's actually listed as Staff Sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are multiple answers that are out there. I know that IMDb can sometimes be fan driven with submitting stuff and stuff like that as far as character names. But there doesn't look to be an exact as far as what the official. There's just multiple answers out there, and
then the fact that they had to pull out the script to prove.
Yes, and that's another point.
Film.
Yeah.
Just stop. He was.
This isn't the script trivia.
This isn't the character description script playwright schmodown. This is what it says in the film. He is never referred to as whatever it was. It's Sergeant. That's what he's referred to. That's like me saying, name me Syndrome's actual full name, because I know what it is, but it is never mentioned in the film. Like, so clearly they're never gonna answer that. Like, so that's my thought.
I agree. I definitely agree.
Yeah, I didn't really catch this at the time of watching it, and then I didn't really see all the stuff about it afterwards. But yeah, I mean, it's very similar to, I don't know, 100 different Star Wars questions that you could argue this same kind of situation. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it was accepted, and then they moved on.
And no one flinched. There was no flinch made. He answered. No one questioned it.
Exactly, and then that's
it was only after the fact.
That should be the end of the conversation.
You literally took what I was about to say in sense of, oh no.
I'm just gonna sit back.
No, it's fine. You only complain.
Maybe I should call Tuesday's show Tea Time.
Tea Time Tuesdays.
Tea Time Tuesdays.
You only complain when you lose, right? If he would have gotten it wrong, you wouldn't have given two poops about it, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's you can say all you want about this and this and this, blah, 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 blah. You lost. Did you bring up any of this during the match? No.
If it was during the match, then valid. It probably wouldn't have held up because it's not said in the movie, but it wasn't brought up during the match.
You have a manager for that exact reason. If you had a problem with it, speak up in the moment. You only cared once someone else came in after the match and told you. Sorry, it's that if What?
And I'll piggyback off of that. I think that it's very unnecessary and uncalled for someone who was not involved in the match itself to strongly come after question writers for the situation. If you're the player who was involved, fine. If you're the manager who was involved, fine. But if you're someone who was just sitting by and watching, and maybe that person is a close friend or a teammate, whatever, I think it's pretty ridiculous the amount of coming after that happens when stuff like this happens. These people are dedicating their lives to writing questions for you to play movie effing trivia. Like, stop with the BS about it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I get it, you lost, but like we said, you did it because you lost. What happens if everything would have played out? If Rocco would have gotten his 5-point question, he would have won. Would that have happened? No. Like, it's petty. It's a very petty situation.
Like, if it was
like to happen afterwards
during the match, then sure, we can review it. But making it so heated after the fact, when it probably wouldn't have, not even probably, it wouldn't have changed the outcome. Like, there's other stuff to worry about. There is other things to focus your mind on. There are other matches to focus your mind on. The fact that the writers had to, like, defend themselves that's where you lose me.
Yeah,
agreed.
The second you bring someone that's working their ass off into this, trying to make something enjoyable for you to play, you need to keep your mouth shut. Sorry. It's really, I really have a problem with it. It's really starting to bug me.
I've heard that they don't. I've heard they only call him Sergeant throughout the entire film, which even if it was Staff Sergeant, that's not what they were arguing. They were arguing what his actual listed rank was.
Sergeant First Class is what they were arguing.
Sergeant First Class is what they were.
Again, you can fight this till you're blue in the face, but you have a challenge for a reason. You have the opportunity to say, that's wrong. That's not right. That's on you to know if that answer is wrong. Because if you know it's wrong, all you had to do is say, challenge, it's this answer. But if someone else is coming in after the match to tell you the question was wrong, that falls on the player and it falls on the manager. Mm-hmm. That's it. Because they're the people that have the right in that moment to say that's wrong or that question's not written. So be it. So I don't know. It's frustrating to me because I just really we shouldn't be talking more about the after and this person should have done this, blah, blah, blah. We should be talking about the match.
And that's what's really disappointing to me is that everyone is so focused on the controversies of this match, not the fact that this epic match went to freaking overtime.
Yeah.
Like
there is no doubting this match was fantastic.
It was amazing.
These were two of the best matches we've seen in a very long time.
So good.
Well, I wouldn't say a very long time, but
they were great matches.
They were great matches. They were fantastic, and I was on the edge of my seat. I had no clue who was going to win this one. Same with this, even the undercard.
Yeah.
And that's how matches should be. Mm-hmm. And it was a great one to watch. And it only makes me look forward to stuff more. But don't tarnish that with other nonsense.
Yeah, ultimately, Erwin walks away with victory after all the craziness. They both go 2 for 3 in their third round. Then it goes to overtime. I believe it was 2 questions in OT or 3. I'm not sure exactly what number it was, but it was a Star Trek question that threw Roca for a loop, and he pulled it the last second, but he wasn't able to write it down in time. And then, again, going back to what we talked about earlier with the JTEs, it just kind of slipped his mind about using the JTE.
Did he have JTEs available?
You get 1 in OT.
And he had his
And he had his available.
No, he used it the question before.
Oh, did he?
Oh, he did?
Oh,
Yes.
I still had
Okay.
He used the question
Okay.
before, and that's why he couldn't do it. He
Got it.
asked for a repeat of the question before, and then when it came to the next question, he had no choice.
Yeah, he pulled it at the last second. He couldn't write it down in time, and ultimately the win went to Irwin. And it's crazy because
repeat.
two days after the match, and we've done this plenty of times before, but we're not talking about the fact that Irwin is going in for a title shot against Dan Murrell. We're talking about all this.
Mhm.
Like Irwin, it's Ethan Irwin and Dan Murrell who have faced off before. Dan took the belt from Ethan. Who knows if it's going to be, a part of this, again, as far as Dan Murrell defending it, or if Ethan steps in and takes it away from him this time. But there's no doubt it's going to be a very, very good match between the two of them. It's unfortunate because it's a live match in making, but it's going to be virtual. And it's going to be, and I don't, is it soon? Do you guys know if it's soon?
I have no idea. Is it a title match?
It's a title match for the belt.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
So,
No,
yeah,
because-
I would assume December.
Maybe someone at the Schmodown Entertainment Network.
Whoever
Yeah. Well,
on the SCN thing when
I
was met
think-
there.
I think if I'm not mistaken, the winner of Murrell Irwin is going to be the person, or is going to be in Spectacular for the tournament winner to play.
Got it. Okay, and I would imagine it would be
2 weeks.
14.
Yeah.
August 14.
That's what I was going to say. I'm pretty sure it was it's not this week's, but next week, because the tournament, the play-in matches are the 10th, the week of the 10th to the 14th. So they need to set the full entire thing by the end of that week. So I would imagine that's two weeks from now. So
All right. Well, it sounds like Dan Murrell and Ethan Irwin might take place in 2 weeks, which is crazy.
Is
Because we would have never
is
seen that in studio.
Is it 2 weeks? There's
That's
no way
crazy.
it's in 2 weeks. There's no
Title
way.
matches in back-to-back weeks. We have Smets and Chandru this Friday, and then Murrell and Irwin the week after.
Whew.
it's, singles is going to literally just go absolutely bananas.
It's gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
I'm already tired thinking about everything.
It's going to be so worth it, though. So exciting. Molly, it's funny when you were saying it. They should have you and Adam like come up across screen challenge instead of word. Just you two's match. A clip from YouTube, like a GIF, come up challenge.
It'll be me going.
Oh God!
Me just being confused.
Yeah.
This is something that I guess that we could mention because we want to make sure we do both sides here, and they make a great point. But Sam has done it as well a little bit with question writers, and I know that look, it comes from everybody. It comes from everybody. I think what we're just saying ultimately here is that attacking the question writers is not the way to go in general. If you want to challenge a question, or if you want to talk afterwards about the writing of the question or whatever it may be, but coming after them is definitely something that shouldn't be done no matter what side you're on.
Mhm.
We're just talking about the Roka one in general because that one seemed
It
to be
was the
taking
Roka.
precedence over everything else.
But no, I don't care who it is. If I get being like, oh, that question is weird, but like, it's happened so much recently where it's like it's just a lot. It's a lot. Like I think sometimes people forget that the question writers are people and they're human beings, and like I don't care if you're a fan, I don't care if you're a competitor, I don't care if you're a manager. When something happens and the first thing you do is this question is dumb, this shouldn't have been the answer, and then the writers literally have to go and defend themselves, is, for me, I could be the minority. I don't know. For me, it's like I understand that like challenges are a thing. Challenge a question. That's fine. I get it. That is 100% part of the game. But there's kind of like, for me, there's like a line with that. That's just me.
I don't know. So as a competitor, sometimes I see a question and I'm like, but obviously I'm not going to go after whoever wrote the question, or I'm not going to pitch a fit about it. But to me, it goes like question writers, managers, players.
Yeah, there should be like a.
Yeah, I mean, like it's tough, especially in Star Wars, because as players, we obviously know when to question something over our managers most of the time.
98% of the time you're going to know the answer before your manager does.
Yeah, they're not going to understand like the problem.
Unless your manager is Ken Knapsack, then you're probably going to know the answer before your manager does.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, you can argue on the side all day long about stuff like this, but if an actual challenge happens and then they throw out the question and give you a new one, then that's like kind of the perfect scenario, I guess.
Yeah.
In my mind, like, yeah, I don't know.
I will say, and Chris Adams makes a great point. Thank you for joining me. The Senate Fanatics are both in the chat here. Stop with this questioning the Q writers that PJ Campbell is a god dang angel.
No, you gotta say it. Have Molly say it. She's the Southern.
Yeah, I don't have that kind of twang.
Oh, a god dang!
There you go. I don't have that twang. I will say this: it's a cool little plug because we've been talking about the question writers a lot on this one. We are going to have both PJ Campbell and Abby Friel with us next week on the show. Next Sunday, we will be joined by them to talk everything Schmoedown, question writing, what they love, what they've been doing on their own. They'll be joining us next week on the show. And we're going to have a lot of
menace questions. That's what she's going to be asking.
Right, harder Star Wars questions, please. Thanks.
Yes, make them harder, please.
So we're going to have a great time with them, and we're going to get into some details, obviously, and it's going to be a fun time. And we're looking forward to everyone joining us for that one. But yes, we'll have PJ Campbell and Abby with us, which will be really, really fun for that. So, yes, there you go. You got me.
Yeah, see, I told
Make
you.
the question harder.
Put me on the spot there, but that's okay.
All right, so with all of that said and done, the usual suspects walks away with the points. Swag walks away with the points. FinStock Exchange doesn't get any points here. Usual suspects climbing the ladder a little bit more, and the tournament is coming up, which is really, really cool. And Swag, who had 22 at the time, I think now have 24. These are different than IG and Star Wars, so the points are a little bit less. 2 points for a win, 3 for TKO and KO. So that'll definitely shake it up. But FinStock Exchange is still in the lead currently, but that could all change very, very quickly, obviously. But let's go and move forward to the match that is coming up this week. The lone event we have this Friday, which is just going to be absolutely crazy. Yes, the card. Yeah, we'll say the card.
There's 2 matches, technically.
We have the winner of the teams match from Friday. So we have Final Exam facing off against the Pride for the Den. Have not seen the Pride in a while. One of the hottest teams and 2 of the hottest players in the Schmoedown in 2020 with Ben Goddard and Rachel Silvestrini making their return first time virtual. And then for the main event, obviously, we have the 5-round title fight between Kevin Smets and Chandru.
That's right. I forgot it's 5.
So
I always forget it's 5.
And that's going to be speed round. That's going to be everything. Let's start with the undercard. I wouldn't even consider it an undercard, but it's an undercard. We have the Pride and we have Final Exam. Brian, I'll start with you first.
No, don't.
Thoughts?
I was like,
thoughts?
I was like, for once, please don't start with me.
Thoughts and pick a winner.
No.
Yes. We do this show for this reason. Yes.
This is I hate picking teams because I've never sometimes you feel like someone's definitely got an advantage. I feel like teams is so freaking balanced this year that I truly think whoever spins something they're more confident in the second round is going to win. I 100% believe that. I'll probably go with what Brian said. I'm going to go with
Ooh, hot take.
That's
hot take.
I don't know.
All right. You
Rachel
can have
might
your
pull
thoughts.
out-
You're allowed
Rachel's
to
gonna
have your thoughts.
pull out
That's
her
fine.
switchblade now.
You're allowed to have your thoughts, and I'm allowed to disagree.
Teams is so freaking balanced. That wheel round is going to be a key factor. I mean, who knows that if we would be talking how equal the match was if they both didn't spin strengths. They could both spin weaknesses next week, and we're talking a whole different story. If someone spins a weakness, someone spins a strength, I mean, that could determine the game right there. So, I don't know, dude. I'm gonna
pick a winner.
I already picked my winners. I said I agree with Brian with Smets and the Pride, but
Got it.
I'm not going to be surprised if Final Exam takes it too. Just because honestly, there are so many teams right now that I would not be surprised if someone wins over this person. They're just teams is incredible this year. Incredible.
Ooh, okay. So I have not seen that many teams matches. I've seen enough, but I am so excited to see Pride play. But man, Final Exam.
Wait, so
is
have you
so
seen the
good.
Pride? Have you seen any of the Pride's matches this year?
Who have
They played
played
twice, right?
They played the Butcher. Did they play the Butcher?
They
Yeah,
played the
they
Butcher
played the
Boys.
Butcher
They played the
Boys.
Real Rejects, right?
The Real Rejects and
Yeah.
the Butcher Boys.
This is
Yeah.
this is where it comes to be very obvious that I am not I'm a very new reactor.
Well, you
So-
have a
We
week to
can't even
watch them
remember.
just in case.
Where's my
You've
little-
got time. You've got time to catch up.
Yeah. I did go back and watch a bunch of like Roka and Irwin's matches leading up to this, so I will go back and watch a bunch of the team's matches leading up to this next one. But I don't know, something about Final Exam, watching them play, watching them talk to each other about the questions. They know their stuff. So I think it's going to be really, really close. I think it could be overtime. I don't think there's going to be a TKO unless someone spins
They're too good.
very, very unfortunately.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, we've seen even when people get opponent's choice in teams games, like they still get through. Fine.
the Pride's only played once, and it was a TKO against Butcher Boys.
Once?
I'm pretty sure they played the Real
I
Rejects.
swear they played twice.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they played the Real Rejects later on.
Is it?
Yeah, because
Swear
I think I'm pretty sure that's where the "We're Heels" thing came from.
They've definitely played twice because their second match was our last studio taping.
And that was
you're right.
the "We're Heels, We're Heels."
We're heels. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, Molly, to add to what you're saying, and just to kind of tease for when you watch these matches, the Pride are so counter opposite each other. Ben and Rachel, they are not just, you can tell they have a really good relationship with each other, but
It was Real Rejects. Okay.
their strengths and weaknesses are polar opposites from each other. And we've seen throughout this year, we've only been able to see Rachel via team so far, which is unfortunate because she's such just a great person to have in this league. But Ben has been all over the league, clearly dominating in not just singles, dominating in not just like something like Lord of the Rings, dominating in IG. His stuff is all over the place.
Yeah.
And then Rachel
Where
really
can
counters
you
him.
not find Goddard these days.
Exactly. And then you get Rachel and you partner him with Rachel and you get stuff like Kevin Smith and Disney, the things that he doesn't know that well.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're so dangerous.
He does know Disney pretty well. His
Yes.
Disney is pretty
Yeah,
well.
he's definitely a younger
Kevin Smith,
generation.
You could
So,
tell. You could see in their last match when they spun Kevin Smith. He was like, "Rachel,
yeah.
got this." Like, yeah.
And so that's definitely gonna be the case. But on the flip side of it, Final Exam is very similar, right? We saw it this past match where Lon really knew his Adam Sandler. You could tell the strength of that Adam Sandler came from him, and Paul was kind of sprinkled in there with some stuff. And then Paul knows the Pixar. He knows, a lot of the Oscar stuff, a lot of the classics, and they're very well balanced as well. It's going to be a fight between the two of them. It's going to be really, really good. Obviously, we always say it. It'll come down to the wheel, whatever they spin. But I do have a feeling that it's going to be a fight till the very end, whether it's a 5-pointer, whether it's an OT, maybe coming down to a challenge or someone going to a multiple choice, something along that line where it doesn't have anything to do with knowledge. It comes down to the gameplay style because they're both that good. And, I don't, it's hard for me to choose because I would love to see them both go on and maybe face each other in a team's title because I love both of them. But for the moment, I'm going to give the slight edge to Final Exam just because it's really hard to seeing after, like Molly said, after seeing them on screen together virtually and seeing how they work with the addition of Winston. And I know Kate is great and the Pride is incredible. And I love watching Ben and Rachel together. There's just something about the Final Exam that's been clicking with me. So I'm going to take the Final Exam in this one. I know I don't have to ask you, Jill, but
I don't know.
I'll still answer. It's fine. You don't got to
Can I say, though, I still love that Lon is just the delinquent character.
Oh, my God. His hobo character is the best.
The best. Literally, we have to do this again?
I love when Winston was like, no, they got to leave the stream. And then he goes, oh, yeah, don't bring him back.
Yeah. I was like, leave him out.
But go ahead. Continue.
No, that was so good.
I'm gonna go with I'm pseudo Den, so I gotta go with the Pride on this one. But kind of piggybacking off of what Brian said, these teams are all of them. I think every single team we have seen established are so there's not really similar to what we said for the Roka Irwin match. There's not really I don't know if there's a favorite just because they're all so good. This is not whoever said this is going to be TKO. You can have your opinion. That's fine. It's not going to be TKO. This is going to be a really fun match to watch.
I saw that.
And they highlighted it. It's so good.
I didn't see it. Oh my God.
So good. But I'm gonna go with the Den on this. The Den pseudo the Pride. I'm going with the Pride on this one, but it's gonna be like we've said multiple times. It's gonna come down to that wheel. If the Pride spins Kevin Smith, it's gonna be hard to beat them. But if they get 100%. If they get an opponent's choice, but I also don't we know Rachel's strengths, but I also don't think we know all of her strengths yet.
100%.
So it could be kind of that situation where they get an opponent's choice, but they give them kind of similar to what Tom and Paul gave Deep 13, where they gave them Festival Darlings, and it was 100% of strength of theirs. So I'm gonna stick with the Pride, but it's gonna be one of those haymaker matches where it could really be a flip of the coin, really.
And I will add quickly that I can't even imagine what kind of craziness Rachel's been doing in quarantine to study. She is one of, if not the most dedicated people in this entire league, and what this past however many months has given her to be ready for this. Because someone had mentioned right here, Tachyon, Rachel is going to need to make a great in round one, getting 4 points. Won't let them hang with Final Exam. A great point, but I have no doubt that she's going to come out on fire. Not just because of that, but also because she has a badass new nickname. It's officially happening. So
shout out to Christian Harloff for making that happen, because we have all been waiting for it. And Christian, I know you weren't on board with the Switchblade for a while, but as a fan, not only a fan, but as a friend of Rachel Silvestrini, thank you, because it is so good.
It's funny. I wanted you to click on that one because I don't think it's Rachel. I think it's all of them. If you stumble in that first round and you're down, whoever it is. I mean, Lon and Paul are not unbeatable.
Paul they're the former champion.
Paul
is the former singles champion. And while yes, he kind of has had a rocky road his past couple matches, he is a former singles champion, and he is thriving in teams right now. I think he's kind of finding his footing in teams right now. And
he has a great mind to work with too.
Yes.
And they, as we saw during their match, like they speak to each other amazingly as a team.
Yes.
Right,
like,
right.
They bounce their ideas and what they think off of each other. It's not very much it's this one. It's this one. It's literally, I think it's this one. Do you know it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's that. They talk and then, all right, this is our answer.
Right.
So they're very, very cohesive as a team, and that makes them dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And to answer your comment from earlier, Tim, real quick, we did talk about the pay-per-view from Friday. It was in the first hour of the show, essentially 30 minutes, so check that out on the replay.
D-Train, you just ruined my night because the last time I checked, the Red Sox were winning. And so that if they're losing,
I'll
lost,
highlight that one for you, Brian. I'll highlight that one.
Can someone update me on the Dodgers and how they're doing? Because that's
I did want to bring this up real quick. Corey has a question, and Molly, I'll shoot this one to you first. Do you think there's an advantage of already playing teams match virtually? Do they have an effect at all?
He was telling the truth.
I honestly don't think it's. I mean, it depends on the person, really, and how you respond to playing virtually. But I don't think it really gives you any big advantage or disadvantage, unless you're just, more nervous playing digitally. Yeah.
And we had talked about it when you first jumped on board. Is that there was an expectation for virtual, but the second it all went down, it became a lot easier once the game kind of started, right?
Yes. There was for me, and I think for Alex too, like leading up to the match, especially if it's going to be live, like the adrenaline is going and you just have like so many nerves and you just have to like do everything in your power to just kind of calm down, realize that this is trivia about things that you know very, very well. But there's still like a lot of nerves going into it. But then once all the promos go and once everyone's done talking and the questions start and your brain just turns on and you have to answer the questions, a lot of that just kind of melts away.
Until you hear challenge.
Yeah, until it's Challenge City.
Challenge. Hashtag Challenge City.
Okay, I'm just highlighting a couple of comments here. We can move on to the next match, which is happening on Friday. Obviously, the big one. We have Chandru versus Smets, and it's the IG title fight that's been months in the making. Smets was supposed to play in January, got pushed. He was supposed to play in May, it got pushed. And so his time has finally come, and it's unfortunate that it is virtual because he is just a live showman. But no doubt is it going to be an absolute haymaker of a fight. And I have no quarrel saying that Smets is going to win this. I'm not going to say easily, but I do think that it'll definitely be a fight where the entire time I'm thinking Smets has this.
Yeah.
I'm there with you.
All right.
Okay, we're done. Bye.
Well, okay, so I will say that I hope Chandru brings his A game. I have no doubt that he would do nothing else. I hope that this is a good match, and I think it will be. But yeah, I think Smets is gonna win.
Did anybody see? I mean, they played it during the small promo with him and Kaiser during the pay-per-view.
Oh, I retweeted it.
Oh, the mask.
So good. Yes, so good.
I said my boys are back, and Kevin is about to prove that ring rust is a myth.
And I love it because those two together, they don't need some special promo. That's all you needed to do. That's all you needed to do.
That's it.
It was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Just have their faces on a photograph. It can be a really crappy photo. I don't care. You just need Kaiser's face and Kevin's face, and we will be screaming because it is Kevin and Kaiser. Can I share my thoughts on the match, even though you all know my thoughts?
Of course. Of course.
Kevin's taking this. He is going to prove that ring rust is a myth, but I know I hype Kevin to the high heavens, and he is going to take this. Chandru ain't no slouch. This is going to be a fight. This is going to be... would not be surprised if it goes to overtime, to be 100% completely honest with you. That would not shock me at all. I think while a majority of people... I'm going to say a majority of people think Smets is going to take it, they're also kind of pushing Chandru under the radar. Chandru is an outstanding player. He's very good. He's very good, and he's not a player that you... And I think Kevin has said this, too, on record, where he's not disregarding Chandru at all. Kevin knows that Chandru is a threat. And it's going to be... This is going to be a match. Is Kevin going to be the first IG champion to defend his belt?
There's actually been 2 before that did it.
Well, is he going to be the first in a long time to defend his belt?
First in a long time.
For a few years, yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is he going to be the first in a long time to defend that Inner Geekdom belt? You are darn tootin' he is. Is it going to be handed over to him? No, it's not. He's going to have to work for it, but I know that he is working for it. I'm good friends with Kevin Smets. I haven't heard from Kevin Smets in like 4 weeks because he is stuck down in the dungeon. He has no communication down there. I'm sure Kaiser has thrown his phone away. I've heard from Kaiser because Kaiser is being the mouth for Kevin right now because Kevin is deep in that dungeon studying his butt off. He is ready. Ring rust is not going to be a problem. This is what Kevin Smets does. This is Kevin Smets, is Schmoedown Inner Geekdom. Ring rust isn't going to be a problem. He's got this.
This is one thing I did want to say. Neither of them have missed a question since they played each other.
Yep.
Just FYI.
And that's what I'm saying. You can't discount Chandru either.
Yeah.
Kevin's going to win, but you can't discount Chandru.
Does either of them have any obvious weaknesses in IG?
No.
I don't remember Chandru's first match or first 2 matches. I'm gonna go back and watch them before this. But I know that he's gotten incredibly better. And he was already good when he came in, but I know that
improved.
Yeah, he's really, really improved since his debut. Yeah, he's dangerous. He really is. If he spins something dangerous, it could give Kevin a run for his money for sure.
Kevin has no weaknesses. I'm just going to say that right now.
People keep bringing up that he's about to be a new dad, but that's not till fall, winter, right?
September?
Yes,
oh, okay.
I think she's still kicking along, and there's a few months until that all happens.
Someone
I'm sure.
Said our last show that he had it already, and I was like, he better not have. I haven't heard about it.
I mean, that is a real like take Schmoedown out of your entire life kind of situation, but
I'll highlight it, Brian. Don't worry.
It hasn't happened yet, so. Every time I see someone and bring that up, I'm like, oh, not yet.
Before we get to that comment, Brian, just give your thoughts on this match, and we'll get to that afterwards.
No, that's what I was going to do. I think Smets will win this. Chandru is not to be slept on, though. I don't think Smets is sleeping on him. I mean, the poor man has almost had 2 matches, right? The beginning of the year, and then he almost had. What was it? Houston. He was supposed to be in Houston. Okay. Yeah. So I guarantee you he was studying his ass off for those 2. He was going to go against Mara.
Mm-hmm.
That's
if you're going against Mara, you are studying 24/7.
Yeah.
I mean, he won the champ exhibition match.
Yeah. And he was in the Lord of the Rings match. That's studying alone.
Yeah.
So I mean, he hasn't played, but I guarantee you he's hit the books crazy amounts too, because you don't just take a match with Mara. I'm sorry, you're studying your ass off to play Mara.
Yeah.
That didn't happen. Then you have the Houston match.
Good point.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
So
he's also IG.
I mean, studying his butt off probably for Houston. That didn't happen. Now he's had these exhibition matches, which I'm sure he wasn't just doing for fun. Like, let's be honest. When he does stuff, he does it to win.
He does it for a purpose.
That's more studying that he's probably doing. And while he's studying, he's making new notes, making new things like this. So, I mean, that's what, 5 different little, not even little, studying opportunities that he's preparing for.
And he's been helping other people study this whole time.
Yeah, like him and Parker.
He's been Parker.
So
I'm sure he was helping Adam Witt with his Star Wars. Like he's been helping his dungeon mates.
And I don't think anyone is really thinking this, but it's not like he's just sitting on the couch.
I'm sure there's people thinking it.
There might be.
There's always gonna be some people.
There's no couch in the dungeon.
True.
There is brick walls on all sides and a television with the
zippity doo dah.
With the whatever amount of movies that they need to watch. They don't have streaming down there. It's all direct DVDs because Kaiser doesn't want you to be like,
it might be the lone VHS function alive.
Yeah, it's all VHSs.
It's 100% one of those like TV carts you had in school.
Yes.
Yep.
But
Samir here. Samir's just coming in hot with the swag.
Listen, I'm gonna go with that. And his only loss ever came down to the 5-point question, and he lost on a brain fart. He knew the answer. It was just a brain fart. So it
gotta love the brain fart.
Gotta love the brain fart. He didn't know, and that only made him stronger. And now he can laugh at "Don't Tell Peter."
Yeah.
Which.
Okay, good point, Chris. Good point.
Yeah.
Like the Flintstones. I was going to say it's like concrete. You're sleeping on the floor.
Yep.
So, but he's going to be fine. But Chandru again is a very scary competitor because if you watch his matches, it always seems like he answers like this. It's like
not even a hesitation. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah,
the speed round will definitely be interesting. Round will definitely be interesting.
I just want someone to spin Star Wars and to have the cojones to keep it. I'm just saying it.
I think Ben Goddard did. Someone correct me if I'm wrong.
Goddard did.
Yes. Goddard did.
Kept it.
Yeah, and it did not treat him well.
It didn't treat him well, but he got extra brownie points in my book for.
But he attempted. All right. Well, let me get back to a few questions here because I know Tim Sim has been throwing some stuff in the chat, and I know he got here late. So here's one. I just want to say this. I obviously missed the Roka Irwin 2 discussion. Whatever Roka does past the team's title match, I hope it's in the best for his future. He's still great, and he's alluding to Roka talking about after the match, what his future may be in the Schmoedown. Obviously questioning
nowhere.
But hey, yes, but maybe it's a role of managing or
I mean, didn't he say in his promo like I'm gonna play this game till I die?
Probably.
And whether he's playing, and I think we talked about this in the chat. Even if he's not gonna, but even if he did retire, he's gonna 100% come back as a manager, and he's gonna be a scary, fantastic manager.
Yeah.
He would be one of those, like...
He would be the 10th manager. We'd have 10 managers.
Would there be 10? Oh, there would
There'd be 10 managers. Even 10. And with the amount of players, it makes sense.
He ain't going anywhere
and they would be called... I mean, yeah, no, he's complete... Like he said in his promo, he's competing until the day he dies. But if he were in some virtual other... dimension became a manager and you called it like the Outlaw Nation or like something crazy like that, he would be a scary manager. It'd be
fun.
I would not be upset to have him in my corner. That's for dang sure.
Interesting. Okay. Brian, question here real quick. No, not you, Brian, but this Brian. I know. Who do you guys have in Corruption versus Founding Fathers? The match is a little ways away, so we have some time to decide. But I'll just say this. If you want to use it on our Ask POV on Tuesday, you could do that, and maybe we'll get into it. Little plug there.
There you go.
Full plug.
You're learning.
Full plug.
With 10 managers, what would you do about the protected picks? The new manager wouldn't have any. That's true.
NHL rules: the manager gets to pick one player from each team.
Correct. It's
Yes.
NHL rules for new players.
That would, it would be interesting. Yeah, it would definitely be interesting. It would definitely be interesting.
I don't know
John
sports-
Roca, the
I don't
Nick
know real
Saban.
sports rules, so
Who's Nick Saban?
He's the coach of Alabama college football. Brian, come on.
college.
I
Come
know.
on, Brian. Come on.
I know.
I'm assuming Nick Saban is
Oh.
like amazing and great as a manager.
Well, he's a head coach. But Jill, to up what you said for a team name,
Yes.
the Stable.
The Stable.
Love it. Great
as
call,
a
Corey.
team, as a team or as a faction name?
I think a faction name.
The Stable, or like having the Outlaw Nation and then a team be the Stable.
I don't know that I would want to be considered in the stable.
I'm in the stable. Although the dungeon is in the dungeon, so
I mean,
it's
that's
kind of
true, but it's got a little badassery
same vibe.
sprinkled on it.
The
It's like,
stable.
yeah, I'm in the farm. Like,
Get in the stable.
it'd probably just simply be the Outlaws.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
it'd
Which
be
is
the
kinda-
Outlaws.
Kind of cool.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't put it past him because everything he does is branded the Outlaw. So, okay. Well, I think that's going to wrap up tonight's show. We have definitely gone past our. I mean, let's be honest. Our show typically runs about 90 minutes now, anyway.
We have a lot to say.
Yeah, we do have a lot to say, especially
We
for this
might
one.
ruffle some feathers, but
Great comment, Robert.
How stable
Great
How
comment.
stable is it?
stable is stable.
Great comment.
Okay. Since you already forgot about it, Tim, you slayed me with this comment.
Oh
Sorry.
crap! Yeah, sorry. We'll end the show on that one. Sorry.
I mean,
Not just Roca. Can we just say any player
Yeah.
who uses a
It's
notebook? Or...
100%, not just Roca. It's all of them. All of me need a damn whiteboard.
I have like several. I
I have one behind me right here. Sean has one in the game.
I have
There's one.
Come on.
Yeah, via me.
I didn't need to buy one because you had extras.
I think someone posted in the Facebook group about that, and then a whole bunch of players were like, I got mine at the Dollar Tree for $1.50, and it came with a marker. Like they were like,
I know the ones that drive me nuts is when they use Post-its. They're like little dinkies. I'm like,
little tiny thing.
it's oh my god.
To be fair, though, I haven't been in school in however many years, so I don't have just like a spiral notebook lying around. To be fair,
Kalinowski's one that's like that big.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, but it's a whiteboard.
It's a whiteboard.
But
Whatever.
it's a whiteboard.
I'm always afraid a pen's gonna die. That's my biggest fear.
Because
with
you don't have Alex Marzonia there to just hand you a new one. Like it's different in virtual land.
That's why you always have. That's why you always have 2 pens
Oh,
ready to go. I don't know why.
Ready.
Because you're ready to go.
Just readily available on either side. I've got my pens.
Someone did use a chalkboard, didn't they? Sorry,
I'm
I'm
down
reading
for
Alan's.
Brian, that was in our trivia.
Oh yeah.
Did one of you use a chalkboard?
One of our
It's
buddies
right.
who
Nuts.
was his first time on the show, he used a chalkboard during our trivia night.
That's prime. That's
And you
prime.
could hear it. You could hear it all night long, just writing. It was
Just-
pretty funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
love
think that would be.
I love the squeaking on the whiteboard for Roca Irwin.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say that's the downside of having like a chalkboard. You can hear like
Uh-huh.
everything.
It's
But
literally
that-
just
yeah.
It's like
With a whiteboard, it's a little more discreet.
it's like Mark and Christian said. It sounds like the squeaking of basketball shoes on a court. Perfect.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up tonight's show. I'll plug it one more time. On Tuesday, you can see us live here on the channel for a question Q&A night with the crew. We're just going to be hanging out together, chatting it up. As Molly mentioned earlier, if you want some good answers or questions to stuff, Streamlabs is where you can ask that, and I'll throw this up one more time. We do have a Streamlabs now officially. It's in the description of all of our videos, and so you guys can join us on Tuesday live here for a Q&A night, which is going to be really, really fun. And then we will be back next Sunday, as I mentioned, with the writers, PJ Campbell and Abby Friel, for the Schmodown, which will be a really fun show as well. So, Brian, before we get out of here, let everybody know where you can find them online. where they can find you online.
At Biavolcino on Twitter and Instagram.
Jill?
Jilly Marie on Twitter and Instagram, 2 Y's, 2 E's. I am 9 out of 10 times just talking about Schmodown nonsense.
And tea.
tea.
Different flavors of tea. Molly?
At Molly Damon. Where is it? There it is. Right there. On Twitter, and me and Alex are on Star Wars Explained on YouTube, always talking about Star Wars.
At Qui-Gon Jake, Twitter and Instagram for myself. 2 N's in there. Someone beat me to it. Also, because I got hammered about not doing it previously, you can find Brian and myself every Tuesday and Friday on a show called Apocaflix Now. We do a movie podcast with some buddies. We just have fun talking movies and hanging out. And so if you ever want to join us for fantasy drafts and trivia and that type of stuff, you can join us there as well. So also Schmodown POV on Twitter, all audio podcast platforms as well. So Apple, Anchor, Spotify, Google, all that good stuff. And then we will see you guys on Tuesday for our Q&A night. So again, thank you for joining us. For the crew, we are A Certain Point of View, and we will see you guys next time.